Hey family, Black here. I just wanted to give you a heads up before we jump straight into this life-changing content that this episode contains adult language. So in case you are watching this with some little ones, it would be cautious to just take them out of the room. And hopefully we'll see them back again next week in another episode. Thank you.
So I think with my wife, I can go out and be free, maybe be misunderstood, but I know I can always go home to someone who gets me. I don't want to say she carries me, but we carry each other. But it's like a headquarters. I think the biggest thing I can offer to any gent watching this show, any husband or soon-to-be husband, is commitment.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
I think that reward you feel when you get past the threshold is more like a fuel for the amount of commitment you're gonna have to endure.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about marriage?
I'm gonna ask to do something I've never done here, dog.
Yeah.
Can I pray for you, bro?
Please, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into this episode, I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. There's two ways that you can do that. One, you can buy us coffee. There's a link in our comment section. You can click on that. Buy us as many coffees as your heart desires. We love coffee. It energizes us to keep on making more of this content. The second way you can support us is by booking me as a speaker and MC for your next event. And that's at booking@blacknewborn.com. That's booking@blacknewborn.com. The husband that's sitting across the table from me today, I've always wanted to say this. You've seen him on the wife. Now he's on that husband. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the one and only Mr. Bonko Khoza.
Shout out, dude. Shout out.
What's up, dog?
Easy, bro. Easy. I'm so
Good,
happy
bro.
to be here, bro.
Good, man.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. I've always wanted to say that, though.
Yeah, there's a nice irony to it, no?
Yeah.
There was one time some guy was interviewing us on the red carpet and he's like, so you're on the wife?
Yeah.
And I'm with my wife. So it's like, you're on the wife and you brought your wife. I'm like, yeah. I don't know what to tell you, Doc. Yeah. You know, but yeah, man.
You probably
I'm
got sick of it by the 100th time somebody made that joke.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny the irony,
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, that was the first time I kind of figured.
sure.
I mean, I was married a year before that,
Yeah.
lawfully,
Sure.
and then traditionally within that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great time to explore what that really means,
Still, bro.
you know,
Yeah.
since it's a title of a whole series.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean, you
Sure.
know? And yeah, it was a very interesting time.
That's dope, brother.
Yeah.
7 years this year.
No, 4 years this year married
Okay.
and 11 years together.
4 years this year. Okay.
Yeah.
11 years being together. Dope,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. That's fire.
We
How's that
met
been?
very young.
Yeah. How's the 4 years?
4 years is nice, bro.
Yeah.
4 years is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like I'm terrible at counting,
Sure.
but I'm good at honoring.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know, and I've never been like a kid I never grew up having birthday parties.
Okay.
You know, my wife loves birthdays,
Sure.
you know, and like specific marked out moments,
Yeah.
you know, Christmas and like, but I don't want to call it a trauma, but like I've never had a birthday party.
Never. You're 33, bro.
Never, dude.
Your wife has never thrown you a birthday party.
No.
Wow.
But it's not just my wife. Like I've just never had.
Like you
one.
don't want them now.
Not that I don't want them. I've learned to cope without them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I've learned to not like. I don't wait for the moments, the marked calendar dates
Sure.
to recognize.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand the order in that
Sure.
from a social point of view. Like,
Yeah.
let's work for every other day,
Sure.
and then here's a special day to remind you of this thing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm not of that system. It's like I can wake up you know, my wife and I wake up one day and we're like, yo, let's go to a restaurant, or like
Sure.
let's take the kid out, or let's do something, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
I feel, we used to have a lot of random holiday trips, dude, for no reason. To like,
Okay.
my parents are like, isn't it enough now? We're even part of this holiday club, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it was just like, we don't need December to go and
That's dope, bro.
and go on holiday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think makes my wife and I like kind of opposites, attractive opposites. Like I'm a risk taker,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
I really color outside the lines. So we've become compatible in that way. Where
That's dope, man.
in instances like I learn from her safety,
Sure.
and like, you know,
Yeah.
I want to call it straightforwardness, but of her precision, and like, and then she's also taken from my kind of wildness and riskness. Can pack the bags now, like when next weekend, cool, let's go. Get in the car, you're off to Mpumalanga in a random week or whatever. But yeah, man, it's been
still, bro.
Yeah, the 4 years have been fun, dude.
Nah, it's dope, man. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah,
congrats, man,
thank
for
you.
that. Yeah.
Thanks.
And I bet you the 11 years has something to do with how the 4 years have been.
Yeah.
Because you know, doing this podcast for as long as I've done it, you know, the 2-3 year mark is kind of hard for a lot of dudes to pass.
Of marriage?
Yeah. And the stats that just recently came out from Stats SA, I think is it 59%, if I'm not mistaken. So they compared the different races, and black people are getting married at a very lesser rate than the other races.
Yeah.
And we're divorcing more than the other races as well, you know. So the 2 year mark, 3 year mark is hard for black dudes.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's part of why I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
Just say, hold on, Doug. You get past that, right? And then you get to the 7-year itch. I don't know what happens there. You know, year 5, 6, 7.
How long are you married?
11.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you can tell us.
Yeah. I'm not an expert, you know, but I've been failing forward, man. You know, my wife is very gracious. But there's key moments that I think are common. So the 7-year itch, we don't know what causes it.
Just statistically.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So a lot of couples get to year 6, 7, and it's just like, man, like we need to change. Change from what? Asas. Change to what? We don't know. But there's something that happens in year 7. And so getting over that, you know, kind of solidifies a lot of couples. Generally, obviously people have their own individual stories, but like generally year 3, year 7 has a thing.
Sure.
So
3 and 7.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm not saying prep for year 7, but just do what you've been doing. It's working.
Yeah, I think so, dude. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, it's working, Doug. So
I don't know, bro. Like I'm always interested in how it's got to do with like our history as black people.
Yeah.
And like the social, might I call it, from like a social traditional consumerism ideal that we have of what marriage is.
Sure.
As black people. And like just our generational trauma.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder how much that's got to do with that.
Yeah.
Because I do find marriage challenging a lot of, like, for me personally, like my marriage challenges a lot of my, at times traditional, at times social, at times consumerist ways of thinking.
Sure.
And acting, you know.
Sure.
And you always have to kind of be self-aware about your own goals, your own ambitions, your identity.
Yeah,
you got to be aware of your identity and what you're doing, and how much of what you're doing is what you're told to do, or what you learned to do from someone else outside of your experience. So that's very interesting. I know 3 years is hard for anyone. I think just typically 3 years of anything. I think that's why degrees are kind of,
Degrees. Sure.
schools.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
school itself also, that 7 year, that primary school is like that 7.
Yeah.
There's something
Yeah.
to do with it.
We are picking up patterns.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just trying to align the stars here, bro.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Address-
Like, I don't know.
bro.
But I think there's something to be said with an understanding of like starting something and coming into full understanding of it through a certain period.
Mhm.
I don't know if I mean, that's the foundation of life. Like your primary school phase, we expect you to like write, learn to write your name when you walk in, and then like know the difference between protons and neutrons by the time you leave.
Sure.
So there has to be accumulation of knowledge by a certain time.
Sure.
So I think that struggle, what really chows couples and marriages is like incongruent growth.
Yep. Yep.
Like if growth is not parallel, then it's going to be very difficult.
Yep.
If you have like your own plans. I mean, I see you and your wife are running this thing together.
Sure.
It's very inspiring to me, and my wife and I are always kind of looking for ways we could collaborate, not just for collaboration's sake, but like understanding that like a fusion of passions and a coming together of passions is one like fruitful for the thing itself, but also fruitful for the people doing it, especially if you're married.
Yeah.
And I think a child becomes that in a way, but can still be strained if your ideals or your progresses are very far apart.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally, man.
So I think by 7 years, I mean, you've been running the podcast for 3 years.
Yeah.
Already you and your wife have built a certain chemistry around this one particular thing.
Sure.
But chemistry aside, you guys have been closely, still stuck together. There hasn't been, the world hasn't rammed the train between you two, where you are doing this one thing and she's doing this other thing.
Yep.
And then there's that effort of traveling back to this one place where we agree upon. And then you realize, wait, you've grown a beard.
Yeah.
It's like, what? When did you grow a beard? Or when did you start wearing these shoes? Oh, you like this music now? I didn't know that,
Yeah.
So it's that type of thing where I feel like, I don't know, as artists we have the freedom of doing that.
Yeah.
Saying, cool, you'll handle the edit. We speak the same language.
Exactly, man.
But I can imagine it. I think that's really what was one of the things that Charles' marriages.
And it becomes easier for, part of why I was keen to sit with you is, there's some parallels between your marriage and mine.
Right.
You and your wife are both creatives. Me and my wife are both creatives.
Right.
So in some sense, you could see how oneness plays out.
100%.
But then I think of, the dude who's an engineer and is married to an accountant.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no stretch of the imagination am I saying that he can't achieve oneness. He can achieve oneness outside of their work.
Yeah.
And there should be, I think, a reckoning that happens with the couple of what their purpose is. So why are they together? Why aren't they with other people?
Yeah.
So why are you with this specific person?
Yeah.
What is it about her that has to be with a guy like you?
Sure.
And I think once you start asking those questions, you start then seeing this oneness that marriage is supposed to bring out, because at the altar you say that I do, we are one, then I'm like, cool. Then the next years that you're going to live together, until one of you clocks, you have to express that oneness. So what you said at the altar happened. Then the rest of your marriage is an outworking of that. And so I think outside of work, you guys agreed that you won. So how does it look like? So ask questions, find each other. Let's not wake up finding out that somebody has a beard. Let's talk about the beard together before it grows. Right? Let's talk about the change of shoes. Let's talk about how I feel about them. Let's talk about what you thinking, the next couple of years are going to look like if you're going to change your fashion sense, whatever the thing is. But oneness has to be expressed, and I think people actually end up divorcing, falling out because they're just not talking. we are not communicating. We are not finding each other, and so life is happening at parallel planes,
Yeah.
and communication is the thing that I think allows for me to step into my wife's world and vice versa. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So if we don't talk, man, I don't think we'll be married, bro.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So
communication is ital.
yeah. Yeah. That's dope, man.
It's ital. It's ital,
Nah,
dude.
it is, man.
Yeah. I mean, also for me, I feel like communication. Man, the service it plays in
Sure.
just offering a lens into those individual trajectories, right? Into those individual paths. Because what we can't deny is that we definitely all are on,
Sorry, man.
on individual paths.
Sure.
And it's an agreement between two people, a contract. I mean, if you boil it down to the basics.
Suck out the romance out of this.
Yeah. It's a paper you signed, my nigga. Yeah, you signed to say you'll do these things.
Sure.
But then without discarding your individuality.
Yeah, hundreds, man.
I think communication is it's the lubricant for that to happen.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
We're compiling this book behind me.
Just get good at getting better.
This one here.
Oh, that husband.
Yeah. So in season 1, we're making it an ebook. Want to give it away for free to guys. So in season 1, we asked our guests to give us 2 names of guys who either inspired them to get married or stay married. In season 2, we're compiling another book, but we're asking a different question. Asking our guests to define what a husband is. So in your 4 years, you have an honors now, bro.
Hey,
you have an honors degree.
Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Throw my hat.
Yeah. What would you define a husband as, man?
Sure. Look, I'm still learning.
Sure.
And why I think it's important to learn is that you're always consolidating your own reference to your experience.
Sure.
And a husband is my dad, bro.
Fire.
I won't lie. Like, a husband is my dad.
Sure.
Like, my pops is the realest nigga.
Yeah.
Real, no candy floss. Like, he's just a hardworking dude.
Sure.
Who raised 3 of us. I've got an older sister, a big brother, and myself. Who raised the 3 of us in what now appears to be like pretty hectic circumstances.
Sure. Sure.
And he stood his ground. He fought. He fought for us to have. I don't know also if that comes naturally, like just by virtue of just global change that your kids will actually. I think it's intentional. It is.
That they'll be better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it is intentional.
No, it is.
Yeah.
We even grow taller than our parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is intentional. You have to say, I sacrificed what I couldn't have. I feel it now. I mean, my daughter's only 18 months.
Sure.
But I feel it now, like there's some things I'm just might not even have. And it sounds like might, but deep down it's like you're not gonna have it. But she will.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think my pops and my moms were sacrificial. And I'm the last born. So you understand that they had been dealing with this idea 3 times. And if I'm at the end feeling like, that thing worked, I can imagine my sister and my brother who are older than me.
Yeah.
Who should have let me know that like, this is, but you know what I mean? We never really have these kind of conversations. But like, my pops that's a husband, dude,
Still
45, 47 years, bro.
Married.
Yeah.
Dope.
Married.
Dope.
They've known each other since primary school.
It's crazy, bro.
They used to sit next to each other in school.
No way, bro.
Mad stories that I take lightly, but like if you really meditate on them, you're like,
sheesh, bro.
You've been with this person.
Yeah.
And then that's more than love.
Sure.
It's more than it's not love alone.
Come on, man. Yeah.
It's grit.
Yeah.
It's effort. It's sacrifice.
Sure.
It's it's labor.
Yeah.
It's labor.
There's a constant choosing.
It's a constant choice.
Sure.
It's a constant choice. And you never need to choose unless you're tested.
It's crazy, man.
So if I can just be like that nigga right there,
Good. Dude.
I'm nice.
10% in grand.
I'm very lucky, dude. Like my dad he's not abusive. He doesn't drink.
Sure.
He doesn't. Like the only thing I can complain about my pops is that he's too helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm a lazy nigga, right? So I'm like, nah, I wouldn't. Nah. And he's always available to help. That's where me and him kind of differ. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, nah.
Sure.
I'm good. No, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
But my dad will always help a nigga out or somebody else. I'm like, why are you involved?
Yeah.
You're involved in this too?
I'm showing up.
Yeah, he always shows up. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's a trait I'll put on later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a husband is my pops, man.
That's dope, bro.
Don't lie.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to hear. That's your dad's name, bro.
That's his name, dude.
It's Mac.
And this thing, is a very special thing because I'm like, and I said this at my brother's wedding, and I was like, yeah, your pops thought it out, or he prophesied it, or whatever. Like, you like a man, bro.
Man.
Yeah. There's no bone of weakness I see in that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it has to get there, now, trust me, he'll be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's dope,
like,
man.
I got no question about that. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
that's dope, man. What happens in the moment when, you feel like you don't live up to that standard? Because you probably, man, like part of the 1%, 2% of black dudes who can confidently say that, the standard of husbandhood is seen in their dads. There's many guys who sat on that seat, and there's a common theme, there's, again, very few had said that their fathers would be a role model for them to be husbands. But for most dudes, it's my dad was an example of how not to be a husband, and so you probably, I mean, I'm one of those dudes, where I'm like, dad is present there 15 years, solid. And then for the rest of my life after that, man, just an example of what not to be, and so I could come into marriage with the pressure of trying to live up to something I'm not, and trying to define myself by what I'm not, so constantly saying to
100%.
myself, I'm not my dad.
Yeah.
And then I'd rob my joy of being a husband, definitely rob my wife's experience of a husband, because then I haven't resolved my own issues and the little boy that's in me still crying out for my dad. But for you, I think it is a different kind of pressure, that it's like, man, if you sidestep, your wife has a dude who's alive who she can point to and say,
like,
I'll see you do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's a unique kind of pressure. So when you've fallen from that standard, how do you deal with that? How do you just come back to it? Or maybe I'm projecting. You don't feel that pressure.
No, it's fair, dude. As much as my dad is a reference, he's not me. He's like, out of all the men, I draw the most from him, and someone I choose to aspire to be like.
Sure.
It's a choice. But at the end of the day, I'm me, right? And I have this weird philosophical kind of ideal that the universe is in function whether you are conscious of it or not.
Sure.
Right? Like, so I learned this from just being gifted. And I say this in the most literal sense. I never asked for any of this. Everything was divinely put into my head or into my heart by who I believe is God, through his, through his ways,
Sure.
you know what I mean, that are way above my ways,
Yeah.
to be who I am.
Yeah.
Right. So I encourage everyone else who didn't maybe have a dad to reference from to think of it the same way. That like whether you liked it or not, you were gonna be this nigga.
Sure.
You know, you could have seen it in Michael Jordan for all we care.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you were just bound to be that person. But now, what are you doing
With that?
with that information? How much self-awareness do you have? When I say self-awareness, I mean like not awareness of yourself as Black or as Bonko, but awareness of like, what is this experience that I'm having of being alive, and what are its traits and attributes? There's patterns. There's this thing called luck. There's this thing called grace. Got you. There's this nigga called Grace out here. See what I did there?
Yeah.
There's this thing called grace. There's this thing called love.
Sure.
There's this thing called lust.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
There's this thing called betrayal. There's this thing called desire. Oh, you know, and you're packaging your understanding of, because I know that death means, be very politically correct here. But there's a belief that death is the end of it.
Sure.
Which I believe it is, right?
Yeah.
Because if there's up, the opposite of that is down.
Sure.
If there's a left, the opposite of that is right.
Yeah.
And if there's life, the opposite of this is non-life.
Sure.
Though some might tell you different.
Sure.
It's fine. It's fine. So I'm going, cool.
Yeah.
When I'm not here,
Yeah.
it means I won't be having all of this.
Sure, man.
So that means the opposite of nothing is everything.
Everything. Sure.
So that's what I always look at it as, and saying like, yo, man, in as much as I'm pulling from different places, I'm not choosing any of this. It's just like whatever little bit of choice that I have, I'm going to go, okay, this feels like I like this thing.
Yep.
And I'm going to go with it. Feels like you're in control.
Sure.
I think the biggest gag God did to us is give us this illusion of choice. Yeah. Right? Sure. Made you feel as if you're choosing. Sure. You know what I mean? No, you don't have a choice. Yeah. It's in function.
Sure.
With or without you.
Yeah.
And if you're still here, you're very lucky to realize, oh, I'm still functioning in this ecosystem. For what you might not even know. You know, you might it's crazy. You know, God can dangle a carrot in front of you just to make you arrive to a certain point.
Yeah.
And in the same way, dude, you know, I had a pop. Crazy, the question for me makes me just think back that, like, I wasn't the best kid growing up.
Sure.
So now if you reverse the roles on him.
Sure, man.
To say, they speak so highly of you, but look what you've made.
Yeah.
You know, you are not that.
Yeah,
and you made this thing. And I'm there like, yo, I can't help it. Crazy, you know? Man. So it's, bro, it's neither here nor there. I'm very indifferent about that. Yeah. I think every man has to look into himself and say, like, what do I want to be?
Sure.
And like, I'm an actor, so I watch a lot of the world, you know? And if I have a specific character that I want to play, I'll watch it, and then I kind of empathize and try get to, you know, try understand that person a lot more, which I think is a trait that most actors have, but a trait that becomes contagious into the rest of my life.
Sure.
And yeah, it's just about, once you figure that out, you're like, oh, okay, this is who I'm going to portray. He's this guy, but he beats his wife. Okay.
Sure.
Doesn't make him less human.
Yeah.
And
he has a story.
He's got a story.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm always hyper aware of my story through the reflection of everyone else in
That's
my
dope, man.
immediate experience.
Sure. That's dope, man. There's a sense in which you speak with much confidence about the freedom that you walk in.
Yeah.
Which is very rare. Most of us are. I mean, all of us are bound to something at some point. Bound to some standard. Bound to family. Bound to society. We're bound to race. And there's a very small number of people who kind of walk in the confidence of the freedom that they've discovered in this world.
Yeah.
And being a husband comes with a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Societally, you have to, if you're a husband, you need to be
Yeah.
this kind of guy.
Yeah.
Right. So wear your ring.
Yeah.
Right? so that
You don't know how to battle with that every day. I see you got a nice one, like a little swag. Yeah, it's dope. Yeah.
Nah, bro. I fought that thing. So anyway, but there's guardrails, parameters that come with being a husband.
Yeah.
And by definition, if you're gonna call yourself a husband, that means you are not other things. So you're not a single guy.
Yes.
If you say I'm a husband,
Yes.
right? So you have to live up to what you've proclaimed you are, right?
Yeah.
And so being a husband comes with a level of restriction, which I think is good. And where I'm going with this is, guy like you walking in absolute freedom in who he's becoming, who he's discovered he is, so not even feeling the pressure of that relationship that you have with your dad, and now you have to marry that with this new role. The question that I'm getting to with that is how has your wife been a steward of these things in you? Because clearly you're comfortable, at least from what I'm seeing and hearing, but she has to be the wife. She has to be your partner. She has to understand this beautiful, chaotic, mess that you're like, man, this is me, right?
Yeah.
How has she stewarded that, And it's weird asking that because she's sitting very close to you right now.
Yeah.
but
Want to grab the mic?
but who into it?
Yeah. Which
yeah.
It's gonna be a long drive home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is what you think.
Oh, this is what you think.
This is what you think, my dog. Right? So yeah, how has she handled you as a gift in her life, and how has she protected all of that? Earlier on you spoke about just having like a strong appetite for risk and adventure.
Yeah.
And women have an innate sense of security. They want to be looked after. They want to have clear boxes. It just helps them function, I think, well in their feminine. And being a dude is one thing, but you are a dude who walks in his freedom. You see the world differently, and she has to hold all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, from where I stand, like my wife is like my soulmate.
Sure.
In a way, right?
Sure.
Like we appear to be so different, right?
Mm-hmm.
In upbringing, in life experiences. You want to talk about your family a little? No? Yeah. I mean, she comes from a divorced home.
Sure.
And it appears to be so different.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think what we share in commonality is the same empathy for ourselves and humanity, which is very, very important because, I mean, one thing can ruin everything. And I just mean that in your own individual thing. Like if you're not open-minded and you want to move out the hood, it's like, nah. Can you see how that small just way of clicking is going to ruin all your ambitions?
Yeah.
So I think very early on we learned that about each other. Like, I mean, we think the same about people, like we think the same about things. We more often than none, we have these chats about winning the lottery and what we do, and we, you know what I mean? Like we're dreamers.
Yeah.
So on the surface, it looks I'm dark, she's light. It looks so different. She's like, how did y'all, you know?
Yeah.
But then what I also think was blessed to be reserved between her and I.
Yeah.
We've understood a deeper sense of humanness between each other, and we know that we're most likely the same person. I feel she is me from a different circumstance, you know, these parallel universes type of thing.
Sure.
And I know deep down I could possibly be her if things turned out differently for me. I could definitely be her.
Sure.
You know, and think the way she thinks and act the way she acts. So my wife has been like my safety, you know, my home, you know. In transactional analysis, there's about, I think it's about 4 things that human needs the most. Safety is number 1.
Yeah.
And not safety as in like protectedness, but a sense of like assuredness, right? So I often walk onto a set on a new job and I'm like always looking for the nigga I worked with before. Like in the past 10 years I've been working, I'm almost like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Hey, and you'll find the one security from like, Jaya, bitch. Now you're boys.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just need that safety to be like, I know someone here.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they always recommend when you're young, they're like, go travel. So you can you can minimize that feeling, right?
Sure.
I went to France the other day, but still I met like Zoe, who was, we crossed paths somewhere. She's a producer and we met at the airport. I'm like, I've got it.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's like crazy. You're like, wow, go on, dude. I'm one man here, dude. You know what I'm saying? And no one wants to feel like that. So safety. So I think with my wife, I can go out and be free and maybe be misunderstood. But I know I can always go home to someone who gets me.
Stop, man.
You know, because we've been together for a long time. It's not long, but it's like it's a vital point in our lives. We were 22 or 23.
No, 21.
21.
Yeah.
Turning 22.
Sure.
You know, I'm 33 now. And it's the only person I've dated since.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So whether it's dirty socks, not washing, being broke, being rich, having money and not having money, like we've been through it all together.
Yeah.
Whether it's whatever transformation that I've explained to you, she's been there.
Sure.
And vice versa. So my wife is my sense of safety, bro. You know, I don't want to say she carries me, but we carry each other. But it's like a headquarters.
Come on, bro.
It's like the main satellite. Like it all goes back to that one place. However way it goes, you know, that it transmits from that place, goes to the world, it comes back to that place.
The mother load,
The mother load, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah, and the way I try to deal with like our interpersonal skills, is like patience, dude. You know, like I got to a place in my life where I almost died. Like I lived a life where I would have either died or went to prison. Like one of the two. Came many times, and then one time nothing got to do with that. But I've like seen the light. You know, you're like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
God, is that you?
Yeah. What's happening? Finally, homie. Where you been? You know? Not even like, not now. Like, let's do it, bro. Let's go. So I live with like a radar. Of like, nah, chill, dude.
Yeah.
And my wife being, who was once like a very anxious person, we spent a lot of time and did a lot of inner work of like, obviously I get it because I'm still an outside third party between her and her own anxieties or demons or traumas. I'm like, trust me, it's not there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it might feel there. And also, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's there or not because I'm not inside her head.
Sure.
But that's where I get my freedom from, is knowing that, like, as long as it's not like that night,
Yeah.
those niggas were pointing a gun right at my head,
Man.
and you said
Oh,
those
man.
words to yourself,
Yeah.
like, yo, sweet, dude, do you guys have snacks
Yeah.
in heaven?
Sure.
Yeah, because a nigga hungry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's not that, then I could probably get through it.
Good, yeah.
As embarrassing or as hard as it is, or it's not meant to look pretty. So I try to offer the same patience to my wife.
Still.
And that's how I feel like we've gotten through. She's very patient with me. Because in as much as it sounds pretty and everything now, you can't imagine a 23, 24-year-old trying to figure all of this out. And she was right there. She gave me time. She gave me her heart. She gave me everything I needed. And I credit, I mean, now in this fame or whatever you want, I don't call it fame because I'm not famous. My work is.
Sure.
My work is out on public platforms.
Yeah.
But like now with that being like, oh, you're a public figure, you're in the public. Like people tend to think that's where you were born. Like, no, what do you mean? If anything, you should credit everything that got me here, not this moment.
Come on, man.
And like, I credit my wife to everything that I have because she's literally been, we're two wheels on a bicycle, dude.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Sometimes she's the front, I'm the back. Sometimes she's the back, I'm the front. But we're pedaling in
Come on, man.
you know, in parallel with each other's lives. One is up, one is down, one is up. And I mean, the aim, I think, was somehow there was a point where we're like, no, this thing has to be balanced. We have to be alongside each other. And you're like, nah, dude. Then we're not moving.
Sure.
If you look at bike pedals, like if they're ever parallel, that means,
stopped.
yeah, they stop. There's no effort involved. So the effort really is you go, I'll go, you tag me in, I'll come back, you come, I'll tag you in. And that was something we learned quite early on.
Stop, man.
Yeah.
As a distant observer, like, yeah, you love your wife, man, and you speak of her in ways that attracted me to your story, and considering just the cultural moment that we're in, you know, where you dudes like us are considered simps, and it's because, you know, a lot of dudes have had very broken stories, no examples of what masculine love for a wife looks like, you know, and so in your freedom and your, you know, confidence, and man, like there's a tenderness towards your wife, rather.
Thank you.
It makes me, I don't know if you've seen the Beckham documentary.
Yeah.
So whenever he describes Victoria as his home, you know,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, he's gonna lose his mind, all this spending time with the Spice Girl.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize that that he becomes Beckham because of Victoria.
Yeah.
You know, he's not gonna play if Victoria is not there.
Yeah.
Right. And I resonated hard with that story.
Word.
On two levels. One, you know, again, personal story, dad is there, mom is there, 15 years of my life. So there's a place from which I'm launched, you know, and I show up as a confident kid because I know that there's giants behind me. Dad leaves, and man, it's just like I shrink, you know, and I'm in the wilderness. And I only get that confidence again when I meet my wife, you know.
Dope.
And then when I marry her, I was like, bet, like the world is not ready. Right?
Yeah.
They don't know, right?
Yeah.
And she's my base, man.
Yeah,
you
man.
know, she's my home. I become everything I am and show up the way I show up because I'm like, yeah, you better see my home team. Like,
And we're not talking about shirt ironed.
nah,
And clean undies.
nah. Forget that. And we can even dwell on that. Like,
Yeah.
so sometimes people look at how I dress and they're like, wow, like
Your wife dresses you
your wife
right.
dresses. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if she did, we'd be divorced.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't touch my clothes.
Yeah,
right?
sure. That's my thing.
That's my thing.
Yeah,
right?
man.
And she has her own like
Mm.
fashion sense, and we just take, we give each other notes. So if one of us is like struggling with an outfit, like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
It's a whole thing. Like,
100%,
we're the
that's
couple that fights for mirrors, right?
That's dope.
That's us though. so I'm like, man, like when I saw how you just like speak of your wife, and I was like, man, like I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, bro. You
Shout
know
out,
what I mean?
dude.
And that's like, yeah, such a rare thing. It's a rare thing, especially for young black dudes, to kind of have that and exhibit that publicly
Thank you, bro.
without hiding that. So shout outs to you, man.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about marriage?
Change. And it's equally the most beautiful thing about marriage.
Yeah.
Like there's and change is cool, and especially I think as creatives, change is cool because you get to discover stuff.
Right.
But the most painful change is when there's things you're supposed to let go of,
Yeah.
that you just like, man, like
Yeah.
that thing's gonna leave you exposed.
Yeah.
That thing
Vulnerable.
is gonna it's gonna shrink
Yeah.
who you've worked so hard
To become.
Yeah. So so the parts of marriage that kind of force that change, and those are hard moments,
Right.
But I think just the friendship that I've developed with my wife has made those moments not easier, but bearable.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So where I'm like, dang it, like out of everybody I know, like she knows me. Like she
Sure.
knows my underwear with holes.
Yeah.
So you can see the swag outside, but she knows.
Like she knows, yeah.
The threads that are holding the stuff inside,
And she's always making sure, hey, don't forget.
Yeah.
We're holding on by a thread that side.
Don't raise your hands too much.
Don't do that. When you're getting excited, like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be exposed to that kind of person.
Yeah.
Cause there's no BSing there. She knows everything, So that's the hard thing. But it's equally the most like fulfilling thing, the most I feel, blessed, because I have that safety.
Sure.
With her and no one else, So the very instrument that I think God uses to break me, is the very instrument He uses to heal me.
Sure.
It's my wife,
Sure.
So I'm like, man, like that's hard, bro. But it's beautiful.
So do you think you found, there's that age old thing like, you marry your mom?
Yeah.
Is it? Which philosopher was that? Was like, yeah, you fall in love with your mother.
It's Sigmund.
Yeah.
It's Freud. Yeah.
It's Freud, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, you marry your mother. Actually,
Freud was insane, man.
no, he was a bit cooked, but
Yeah.
I prefer Nietzsche over Freud.
Yeah.
So, do you think that's true?
To certain aspects. So for me, my mother is a lioness, man. Like hardcore. I was telling somebody my mother's dream was to be a soldier.
Dope.
Yeah, like my mother's like from AK, Joe.
Dope.
Bambeli AK, Tubulizi Inja. Yeah, and unfortunately she, couldn't fulfill that dream. But I say that to say this, just like, you feel her presence when she walks into a room, right? And that's something that my wife has.
Okay.
And they're both dark-skinned.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they, there's you dark-skinned, and then there's my wife and my mom.
Yeah.
There's a like a tone of chocolate that they have.
Sure.
That I'm like, I told my wife, I was like, man, like when I saw that, I was attracted to that, and partially maybe it is because
because it might come from that.
So I do think, and there's certain aspects where I see my mom and my wife. Yeah. My mom, man, I think it was probably first year of marriage or second year. Anyway, my wife will correct me. But we're driving, and my mom is at the back. I get to the traffic lights, and then these guys ram into us.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come out super drunk. F you, how you
Idiots.
driving? Blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah. So I'm going to check if the car is fine. And they're the ones who rammed into us. But
Yeah.
we had a tow bar in our old car, so their car is finished.
Yeah.
Right? This thing is unscathed. It's not
Yeah.
touched.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So then I'm like, car is fine. Let these guys wild out, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And so then my mom is sitting in the backseat. I come out. My wife comes out to see, because these guys look like they're gonna, throw some punches.
Mm.
So eventually, my mom gets irritated. She comes out. She's trying to find out what's going on.
Sure.
So she's like, "Hey, ngicela ukubuza kwenzakalani?" One of these dudes like, "Thula wena makriz." It's
Yeah.
4 guys. Right?
Yeah.
My mom jumped over the car, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To hold these dudes. Right?
Yeah.
Two of them ran back into the car, and she
Right.
held one.
Yeah.
So I looked at my wife, and I just move back.
Yeah. Give her space.
I don't know what's gonna just move back, right?
Yeah.
That's the type of chick she is, right?
So you got a lot of ass
So,
whoopings back
yeah.
in the day, yeah?
A proper.
Sure.
A
Sure.
proper one was, she was doing the laundry,
Yeah.
and I'd come back, and I left food from last night, but I
Yeah.
didn't eat my meat.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, because I wanted to leave it.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyway, so she chowed it.
Okay.
So I'm like, man, where's my meat? Blah blah blah. She's like, I'll cook you an extra piece tonight.
No, it's not
da, da, da.
enough.
Yeah, I want it now.
Yeah.
Bro, she opened the washing machine. It was on.
Yeah.
She pulled out wet jeans, dog.
Taste you.
Proper. So that was my mom.
Okay.
That was my mom. And I think that part of her is in my wife. And I love that about my wife.
That's cool, man.
I love that about my wife, man. And yeah, I mean, she doesn't beat me. Like, they just don't hear me say
Yeah.
So now I'm at home, and my wife is like, yes, boy.
Like, where's your meat now, boy?
Nah. It's
Yeah.
just a very strong sense, super confident. At the same time, I've always said to my wife, I think all of us are like this, and you can tell me here,
Yeah.
that like our strongest gift becomes like our worst curse. So if you're gifted in something,
Mm.
like the opposite of that, man, just becomes the worst curse. So I'm like, my mom is strong, my wife is strong, but man, when they're weak, they are hella weak.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't reconcile. How can you be this person? And then and so I realized that even about my wife, that like she carries quite a lot. So when she is down, like, man, she needs a giant as well to hold her.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that about my wife. Yeah.
That's the irony of character, though, right?
Mm.
Like the best heroes are anti-heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good at everything but the thing they're supposed to face.
Yeah, sure.
In that particular story.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I was asking because I feel the same.
Mm.
Like my wife and my mom hit it off the first day they met.
Sure.
Like proper.
Sure.
Like my wife used to sleep at my house.
Sure.
We understand, like, black family.
You don't do that, dog.
Yeah. But she was just, they were like so tight.
Yeah, cool, bro. Yeah.
And to a degree, I think they could sense that, like, this is genuine.
Sure.
And I think also God kind of made them understand that I'm doing something here.
Yeah.
I'm doing something here. Chill out.
Yeah.
We're just using your crib,
Yeah.
but chill out. I'm planting something here.
Yeah.
They'll have their own house in 10 years. Don't worry.
Sure.
But it was also like very weird, and I think that's also what makes me and my wife special in a way, because one of that relationship with my mom. Also my mom's like it's a no taker,
Yeah.
very straight talker,
Yeah.
not mean or
Sure. anything,
but like my mom doesn't candy fluff her words to please you. We often like my big sister will have to say, you didn't have to put it like that. or someone would have to correct it to say, but you could have said it differently.
Yeah.
And I think my wife is
And
also
she reminds you that I'm Zulu.
Yeah, hella dog. You know what I'm saying? She's straight up about it.
Yeah.
Very polite, very funny.
Sure.
there's no question why my wife and her get along.
That's dope, bro.
So mad, like it's insane, you know.
Sure.
I remember there was one time we were at my house and I was sick, and then my wife woke me up. I was like, "Yo, sorry, I passed out." Like, no, me and mom went to the mall or whatever, and it's gone. I was like, okay,
they were just chilling, bro.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
I recognize it there. That
Come
now this
on,
is something
bro.
special.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, when you trying to consolidate the traditional, the social, you hear about mother-in-law.
Hey, bro.
Folklores. To me, it's a folklore because I'm like, nah, dude, my wife and my mom are tighter.
Homies, man.
They tight.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Which then makes me also want to build a stronger relationship with her family.
Yeah. That's dope.
And then you also consolidating the whole idea of mkhwenyana, you know, in that space. But
it's the boxes that I was talking about.
Yeah, the boxes. And you have to escape the boxes without violating the boxes or violating the structures these boxes were built upon. Because if it exists, it was probably valid at some point.
Yes.
There's definitely some validity to it.
That's a sober perspective.
In one way or another. It existed for a reason.
Sure.
But then that's why I asked you in the very beginning is that I wonder how much of it has to do with the trauma of Black people.
Sure.
You know, ideas like lobola, you know, I've heard theories that like, no, this was a white concept, you know. And one thing I can say that white people came with a very, we're going to take over this place mindset when they came here.
Sure.
You know, and we were still under the guise of, we can help you.
Ubuntu.
We can help you. So a lot of these Western ideals, I feel before I ever take them on fully, I have to interrogate and say,
come on, man.
Was this built to destroy something in the long run? You know, was this built to, you know, does this come from a place of growing something? I mean, I've even gotten to a whole point where I'm still interrogating the whole idea of amadlozi, you know, and ancestors. Luckily, you know, we just, you know, we have a good banter about philosophers and stuff, which is quite telling of like my background and my youth and stuff that I was into. So I'm not consolidating it against like one other thing. Consolidating it against a universal global point of view. I'm going, you know, what would the philosophers say about this idea? Where are they coming from about this? What would the East say about this? What would the West have a perspective about this? As Jews and the Muslims begin to believe this. Oh, there's a pattern to this. And you know, one thing I know for sure in this life, in this experience called life, there is a God.
Come on, bro.
There's one force above us all that we all reach in our own unique ways, naturally so. But then you still have to use that same thinking with everything else. The ring, for example, like what is this about? Someone tell you, oh, there's a vein that goes from your finger to your heart. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Are you kidding me? Like, that doesn't mean nothing to me, dude. You know? That means, that means nothing to me, bro. What are you talking about? So now I must wear it? Like, what?
Yeah, sure.
Is there a type of metal that I have to put on for it to stimulate that vein? That And who also said the heart, the organ, has got anything to do with love?
With love,
Do you understand?
Sure.
So there's a lot of consumerism, diamonds that we have to interrogate.
Come on, bro.
You know?
Come on.
So we try our best. We live a curious life.
That's dope, man.
My wife and I, and we're happy to chuck away things that don't work for us. We're happy to try things.
Dope, bro.
And go through it. And the nice thing that we're actors, so we know that the story must end somehow. Right? And we track the progress of the story to say, would anyone want to watch the story? Nah, this is ruining the story. Let's stop this thing. Wait. This is ruining. Well, this is taking the story in a whole nother direction. We're storytellers. And I think at the end, my wife and I want to have like a really nice story.
That's dope, bro.
You know, a really, really nice story that we can tell our daughter. Tell maybe if we have more kids, tell our children and our grandchildren. that we went from this to this
To
and
that,
this
man.
and this, and those are the best ones, right? That
Yeah.
Oprah moment or that husband podcast moment where
Come
you
on,
just
bro.
reflect on this
Yeah.
crazy story. So we always realize, no man, where's this gonna end?
Yeah.
You know, we're creators, so
And you own it together, man.
yeah, man.
Yeah. It's what I always say to guys, man. Regardless of your worldview, I think don't marry somebody who might not have the same worldview, because it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying it's not gonna work,
Yeah,
but it's probably gonna be tough, right?
yeah,
And even the the evolution of your worldviews, man. Like, I think at some level have the same basis, and as you both evolve in how you see the world,
yeah.
be on some form of agreement,
Sure.
that this is what we're doing. That's the
Yeah,
story that we're
yeah,
telling,
yeah,
So
yeah.
so if there's two stories that exist in this marriage, it's gonna be hard, man.
It's gonna
'Cause
be tough.
at some level, these narratives are gonna clash.
Yes,
They're gonna differ, So I'm like,
they want to talk over each other.
over each other, bro. So I'm like, regardless of how you see the world, man, I think it's very important, very essential that you marry somebody who kind of has the same worldview,
100%.
because that's the thing that when everything else falls apart, I'm like, but I have a standard, I have a worldview, I have a way of seeing,
Yeah.
humanity, of seeing God, of seeing what's wrong with this world, where I think humanity is going.
Yeah.
So now when I'm besides myself, those things will hold me.
Sure.
But if my spouse disagrees with those things and I'm weak, man, like we're gonna clash. And
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are gonna be super hard,
I think those things have to be interrogated before marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage for me is the packaging.
Sure.
Because one can argue that my wife and I, we've lived together like probably a month after we met.
Sure. Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes for me, I'm like, we got married because we're like, okay, we've been doing this for so long. Like, what's the fear? Like, nothing's really going to change. So every time I feel things changing, or not feel things changing,
Sure.
I get anxious based on one of the boxes of this new title. Then I go, but wait, dude, this is still basically, the only thing that changes, let me finish that thought. It's still basically dating and the friendship that we have, just with a new title called husband.
Yeah.
And whenever those new things come in, I'll say, oh, wait, bro, I've been here longer than you.
Sure.
Yeah. I tell the title, no, bro. Where were you when my wife and I were living in Hillbro or Perea? Yeah. Now you want to come through with this now? What you talking about that?
Yeah.
I've been here.
Sure.
And I think the owners of the landlords of the space should always be the ones who are filtering what comes in and what comes out. The only things I feel for me, the big things that have changed has been like becoming like homeowners and becoming parents. Otherwise, we knew how to, way before the husband thing.
Sure.
We knew how to, at the end of the month, we planned for the groceries and we spend our money like this.
Yeah.
We knew, I use a shield, she uses the shield woman.
I guess I'm in the society too.
Whatever brand, I'm not putting no brand on. I use the what man, she uses the ladies one.
Yeah.
There was no question about that, So now suddenly because I'm a husband, something must change.
Sure. But would you say, not even argue, it's your experience, that the title did it not come with some weightiness?
Nah, dog.
Okay.
No. The man I want to become.
Sure.
And this is, I think, where the turning point of our relationship was I realized the man I want to become, the person that I want to be there for someone 100%.
Sure.
I want to be reliable. This is based on a past in my own life. I mean, we'll have a separate podcast on who I was. And a different episode on who I was and where I'm from. So this all makes sense.
I want to get there. I want to know what color that pizza was.
This nigga. Okay, you got the info. Hey. Yeah.
What color was that beetle, dog?
Ish, my boy, it was maroon. It was maroon.
And maroon cars have stories. I had a maroon Fiat Palio that I slept in, bro.
Yeah.
Bro,
And these maroon cars are
bro,
problems.
the problems, man.
The
Anyway,
issues.
we'll circle back to that, dog.
Yeah. So once I decided on my own,
Sure.
through me and my God and whatever,
Yeah.
was like, oh man, I actually want to be this person in
Sure.
life. And that's like looking at my dad, looking at, my faith, philosophies, the impact of my wife, the impact of my friends,
Sure.
and whatever,
Sure.
that I'm experiencing in this waking life. I'm like, I want to be this guy, man.
Sure.
I think this is what I feel like I want to be.
Sure.
And
Sure.
it wasn't husband, but it was like this particular person to this person, being my wife.
Sure.
Like, I was like, I want to be there for you, bro.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
I want to live my life with you. I want to do life with you.
Come on, man.
Whatever you want to call it,
Sure.
It's a little pleasing to society
Sure.
and to parents to define it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
And I do believe there is a grace that comes from God when you name it the thing God names it, and that's also an honor to God
sure.
to say, but you want to be the thing, we have a name for it.
Yeah.
Fine. But as to like, did anything change in who I already wanted to become?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, bro.
That's fair.
I want to be this guy. I like this life.
Yeah.
I love my wife. I want to be there for her. I want to do everything for her. I want to create a family. That's my mood board. That's my vision board, dude.
Sure.
It's all part of that.
Yeah.
And so whether you call it a husband, then they're gonna say, "Oh, you actually an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually this." It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. But the action
Am
came.
I living it out?
Yeah. The thing came before the definition.
The title, yeah.
The title.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, that's dope, bro. Yeah, I hear that, man.
Yeah.
That's good. I lean towards the grace that comes with the title. And I do believe there's freedoms within the title. I call it the invisible line. I think there's a line that we cross when we say I do.
Yeah. Definitely the threshold.
Yeah, there's a threshold you cross, bro. Right?
Yeah.
And there's obviously, culturally people are gonna see it differently. Societally, people are gonna see it differently. It's weird in churches that nobody gets up and then they're introduced by their status if they're not married. It's weird. Like nobody would say, good morning, church. This is Bonko. He's a single guy.
Yeah,
never.
No.
Right? But once you're married,
yeah.
This is Bonko, and he's the husband of so and so, and he's married for so many years, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Right? So even societally, the people acknowledge and recognize that threshold that you cross. And sometimes dudes, because you've clearly been graced, done some work even before you cross the threshold to say, I'm resolved, this is the kind of guy I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Some dudes get hit with whatever this weight is after you cross the line. They get hit with it like a ton of bricks in their face because they didn't think about the stuff before.
Yeah.
So when they cross and the weight is there and they're like, hey, what is this now? Where does this come from?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, our wives, kind of assume the role of wife, and then now they're looking at you like, hey, daughter, like there's certain things that are allowed for you to do as a boyfriend, but now like you being negligent is not just gonna be a
he's being himself.
Being himself.
No,
this affects my future now.
Yeah.
Right? now we married, we together, we're potentially gonna have kids, or we have a child, whatever the case is. So now you're being a clown is not just a cute thing anymore. It affects my future. It affects my livelihood, right? And so then they'll probably nudge the dude to be like, well, behave like the title. Behave like what the title requires, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of dudes become shaky.
Yeah.
Because For them, it's like, well, I don't know what this thing is. I knew what being a boyfriend is. A lot of freedoms. I could come as I go, as I want, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Now I'm expected to be indot, babekaya, and I'm like, dang it, like, what is this, And so then they start shaking, and so it's just admirable to see your kind of resolve and that it was there, and you kind of bring that in, and you still constantly thinking about, man, I did want to be this, I did want to do this, the title is there, and I think there's a level of freedom you've afforded yourself,
Thank you.
in walking in that, because you've been thinking about the stuff, so, which is dope. And this is a note to dudes watching this, man, that I think before you get in, think about the stuff.
Yeah. I didn't think about who you want to become.
Yeah.
I was.
Yo, Beans and Bonds, the 4th edition, man. It's incredible that we are saying number 4. The first 3 have been possible because of you, man. You pulled through, you invited people, you made sure that you filled the room. Our guest of honor truly blessed us with the gems that they dropped, man. I enjoyed hosting, and shout outs to all our artists who performed and encouraged us and inspired us with their art. We are on the 4th one. When is this one happening? The 31st of May, right here at Christchurch Midrand. Doors open at 9:30. Event starts at 10 and we finish at 1. So make sure that you are pulling through. Invite anybody. Beans and Bonds is for everybody who believes in healthy marriages and truly wants to celebrate husbands becoming better husbands. All right, so make sure that you are pulling through for this one. It's going to be super, super incredible. What is the theme for this one that's coming up in May? Let me tell you, man, doing accountability the right way. You've probably heard the word so many times. Social media has abused it, but we want to speak about what true accountability looks like, not just for us as husbands, but for women, for wives, for those who believe in the institute of marriage. How can we keep each other accountable and how we behave in light of what marriage is and what a good and healthy marriage is supposed to be, right? So pull through for that, man. Our guest of honor, my brother, Seta Mabula, he's going to be there. He's a straight shooter. You've seen him in season 1. If you follow him on Instagram, you know that his heart and aim is to keep men truly accountable and walking in the straight and narrow. So we want to hear what he has to say. And who's going to be our artist? My sister, the one and only prolific, profound, pronounced, professional poet, Puno Selesho. She's going to be here truly dropping some amazing pieces, and we're going to be encouraged and inspired. So make sure that you are pulling through for this one. Beans and Bonds, 4th edition, 31st of May, Christchurch Midrand. 9:30, doors open, 10 o'clock. We start, 1, we'll finish. All right, pull through. See you then. All right. This is a note to dudes watching this, man, that I think before you get in, think about the stuff.
Yeah. I didn't think about who you want to become. What I had learned is that there's freedom in commitment.
Sure. Sure.
Being a multi-talented person like myself,
Sure.
I struggled with commitment. And this is like finishing a painting. I used to make music, just finishing a song.
Sure.
It took me years to put together like an EP of like 4 songs.
Yeah.
Like, when my wife met me in like a studio in a crib, and she's like, "So you're gonna get signed?
Yeah.
Are you gonna? Where's the album?
Yeah.
What's it?" I'm like, what do you mean? This stuff is just fun to me. You know what I mean? So I never had an idea of like a good sense of like consolidation, completion, commitment, finish.
Sure.
And when I met her, that's the biggest thing I took on. She was the one person who showed me that, like, I mean, obviously my dad probably gave me shit about it for a long time, because I used to leave schools, I used to change up, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that. So I think the biggest thing I can offer to any gent watching this show, any husband or soon to be husband, is commitment.
Sure.
It's I think that reward you feel when you get past the threshold is more like a fuel for the amount of commitment you're gonna have to endure. And so if you were a shitty boyfriend coming home late, it's gonna be hard for you. But if you're a committed boyfriend, and playing whatever by whatever rules and limitations you knew your girlfriend at the time was expecting of you, and you're committed to abiding by those, and not because of anything other but you love that person, then you should you should do just fine as a husband.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
my wife and I, I think our arguments are over the lamest things. You know,
Sure.
we're so committed to each other
Yeah.
that it's like a natural thing to carry the weight of someone else.
Come on, bro.
Not nicely, not happily sometimes, but it comes naturally.
Sure.
It's never like, no, I don't want to do this and that's that. Like I naturally have a thing of saying, okay, fine. You know, I'll go. It's fine. It's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, what?
Sure.
You know what I mean? And we take it lightly, but because I love you so much, you know, I'll endure whatever.
Sure.
And I've taken my wife to places or along to things where she's just like, and sometimes in the moment I recognize it. And we always have these things where we go, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And it's funny because she'll say, maybe we'll go somewhere, you know, like this past Sunday, we were at a photo shoot and she's like, thank you. I'm like, what do you mean? You know? It's like, thank you. You know, you did it for me. Or because maybe she could sense in the moment my, not uncomfortableness, but my like, you know, like can feel this moment is not for me. Because I've been in those moments where it is for me. And it's not the same nigga. But I'm here, bro. You know?
That's good, bro.
And I think that's also managing gratitude and managing of expectations.
Yeah.
It's very hard for you to expect your partner to feel the same about things that you feel about.
Yeah.
But sometimes if Black can show up, whether he sits in the car, whether he's quiet the whole day, but he's here.
Sure.
You understand? We're going to drive home together. And also vice versa, to enjoy. I mean, there was one time at the party, there was a one event where it's like peak of fame, dude. And everyone is on me, dude, you know. Hi, this is the manager of this company. Oh, yes, hey, photo here. She was like, no, I'm leaving. She's like, no, I'm leaving. You're talking to everyone. You know, that was the one time I was like, okay, can get a bit much. But I think now she's very comfortable in the space. And I'm also very comfortable to be like, I know the networking game now. Shop,
easy.
But we're very patient with each other.
That's good,
and
man.
we're there for each other, present.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't have to be excited about it.
Yeah.
And I know she doesn't expect me to be excited about it. I mean, as we grow, we'll learn to be more supportive and excited about it.
Yeah.
I'll wait for you to find your reason to.
Yeah.
But as long as you're there, man,
Sure.
that means the world.
That's good, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. From one creative couple to another, and you can be as discreet as you want with this one. I'm not pocket watching, but you guys were freelancers for a long time. That's hard.
Yeah.
So earlier on, you admired me for working with my wife, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, but there's times we're like, but we clowns, though. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Other kids are accountants. They're planning their lives well. Things are fine, And I'm like, heard you earlier on. You're like, randomly just get in the car, go to Pumarang. I'm like, yeah, see, my wife shouldn't watch this part of the episode.
Like, you see?
Random drives to go on holiday. Sheesh.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, you've been in the struggle in one sense, and your wife has been there with you. Friendship helps when you both are hungry.
Yeah.
And you can both say, no, should be let's eat one burger together.
Yeah.
And you kind of see things coming together, finances are changing, etc. And this is purely a selfish question. I'm not even asking it for anyone else but me and my wife.
Yeah.
Man, what does it feel like to sit on the other side of that struggle? Where you're like, yeah, sure, we can afford to randomly drive and go on holiday. We can, say, man, we're gonna buy that house, and live there. We have a 6-year-old, and we have tons of dreams for her. And again, in God's doing. We're like, God, man, whatever you make this kid, just don't make her an artist. Life is hard. but
That's funny,
but we
yeah.
progressive parents.
Yeah, but
if
she
she
can learn
is,
the piano.
Yeah, if she is, we'll support it. No, we
Yeah,
won't.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
have to. Right?
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
And this kid pops out as an artist. She does. You know,
Mm.
she's. I think when she was 5, we in the house and we could hear her in her room. Just she has this chorus. Who's rich in this house? I'm rich.
Hey.
Who's rich in this house? I'm rich. And she comes out of her room. She's reciting that chorus. So I look at my wife. I'm like, I don't
Was
know
that you?
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, so now it's the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Just running around the house. Who's rich in this house?
Yeah.
We rich.
Yeah,
We're like, when did this thing come? You know, whatever the case. And that was just one glimpse.
Yeah.
Of like her, what we think is her talent. And she's had other moments, you know. I mean, she's already, you know, trying to play guitar, whatever.
That's dope.
And we have dreams for her. And we like, God, if we're gonna look after this kid, if she is like us, man, you need to make sure that our pockets are filled enough that we would, because we know that this journey is crazy.
Yeah.
And we both lived it, you know. I'm like, both went to film school.
Ish.
My wife has been she was a musician, signed to a record label, toured. I did music for 10 years. I painted,
Dope.
And so I'm like, man, like this thing has us by the neck.
Yeah.
If we do anything else, we're gonna slowly die.
Yeah.
But we know, sometimes you wish you were born in a different country.
Sure.
We're like, man, if we were born in the States,
If you're born in France
and we were
you
local
been,
in the States,
Yeah.
that's the whole country. If I'm local in South Africa, I'm local
good.
to the East Rand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's enough.
Yeah. But if I'm local in the States, man, like my locality is a whole country, right? And that would be enough. But here, it's like, man, you have to find ways of how to keep this thing alive, because if you kill it, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So all of that to say, and to give you context, man, how does it feel? To be able to look after your family and be at a place where you can still do what you love and be able to afford the random trips.
Well, look, dude, I definitely count myself lucky.
Mm.
I struggle with compliments
Sure.
and taking credit. Like for the longest time, when I went public,
Yeah.
everyone say, "Well done, you're so good." I'll say, "Praise God."
Sure.
That was my response.
Sure.
Like my name on Facebook. Well, my full name was Bonko Khoza, which means thank God.
Yeah.
And I think I have a deep sense of like gratitude and non-credit taking for anything that's happening in my life. Like I said in the beginning, I believe things are working
Sure.
with a small illusion of control. So to answer your question, it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel grateful.
Sure.
I feel more of a steward than the creator of it. And I feel assured that dreams do come true. But I do believe there's a certain posture and position
Sure.
that you have to be in for you to see it, to activate well, whatever we call grace or luck. I think hard work is one. And I feel bad sometimes giving this sort of advice because I still see myself as the lucky one. Right? Because I mean, I was once on 702 and they asked a similar question. Like, how did you do it? You know?
Yeah.
And then there's a guy who called in and was like, man, I've been doing all of that, but still.
Yeah.
So I find it hard to give this as advice more than...
Was the dude a creative, the one who called?
I think so. I think he said he was an actor. I don't remember.
Yeah.
think he said he was an actor, or I think it was just like he was hustling as well, and
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things
yeah.
aren't coming together. And because I always, my biggest reflex is God, bro.
Sure. Come on, man.
If you believe in God
Mm.
and you believe what He said, man, God is like the easiest person. Like it's the easiest thing to do,
Sure,
right?
sure.
You credit everything to Him. You give your life to Him, and you believe everything He says.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the turning point for me.
Sure.
Where I was like, I mean, I had explored different kind of ideologies and was atheist. I wasn't. Then I was, I believe I was a Kundalini. Then I wasn't.
Hey, Bonko.
Smell with them final khuleka wena. Khuleka mfethu.
I always joke that like a black atheist is a black atheist until his grandmother comes to visit.
Yeah, and then you
and then you like
put back the white Jesus. Yeah, the white Jesus.
Atheist.
You know the white Jesus, the one like that, with the smooth hair. So I always credit whatever I have to God's plan for me.
Sure.
And I go far as saying, my dad is a daughter, and if you look at him, that's what I believe. Sure. Anyone looks at him. So my name is Bonko Khoza, My name literally means thank God. So I find myself always in instances where I'm like, yo, thank you. Thank you, God. I mean, before I used to say thank God, like, whew, thank God.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know if you get me, right?
Get you,
there were instances where I just escaped or survived.
Yeah.
And I have to say, thank God that didn't happen, or this didn't happen, or it worked out this way.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it now that I know Him personally, there's literally a thank you, God, because I know Him. So now when things happen to me, it's not this God that I don't have. I mean, God exists nonetheless. So you can still say thank God, like thank the God that's doing all of this. Yeah. But now that I have a personal relationship with Him, I'm like, thank you, God, the one that I know, But I think, dog, you have to posture your heart and your faith in a way where you believe this, where you believe it's possible. There's a reason we're believers, And I remember I had graduated from being a believer to a witness, to a recipient. It's one thing to believe in God, and it's another to see Him work, literally. And that's what I think happened with me, dude. And it feels good. It really feels good. There were moments where it wasn't happening. Not that we didn't believe it was going to happen, that it wasn't happening. But as to how and when, that was all divine. Yeah. So I'm grateful, dude, to answer your question.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Good. Yeah, it's a weight a lot of husbands carry, man. And I think it's additional weight when you're creative, considering the country that we're in. Yeah. Trying to make a living from the stuff. And having to look after a family at the same time, man. I'm like, sheesh. Like you have to truly believe in it, and to a point of insanity. Yeah. Where people are like, Mbana, like this is stupid. Like, just quit and just go the conventional route. Because she's just crazy now, But you have to.
I mean, I still think we're crazy. We're just gotten used to
the level of craziness.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
But it's like, I always think there's not one type of husband.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure.
So a husband is not, it's not the uniform.
Yeah.
It's the institution.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't mean you put on this uniform thing and we're all gonna be the same.
Same thing, yeah.
No, it's a state that you're in with the world, in relation to the world, and the relation with that one person who is your wife, who is the person you you've made a commitment to and with. So, in as much as I'm a husband, I'm always asking myself, what type of husband am I? Like, what kind of husband? I mean, I'm a storyteller, right? So there's no use telling me. Imagine I get a brief as an actor. We get these things called briefs, right, for characters that maybe you want to audition for. Imagine I got one that just said husband. Like, yeah, and
sure.
yeah, I probably wouldn't go to that audition because I'm like, what do you mean? What is just a husband?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys, they think the role defines them.
Sure.
Or I don't want to assume anything about anyone.
Yeah.
My thinking is that the role doesn't define you.
Sure.
You have to go put husband as the thing that envelopes everything else.
Sure.
So I'm a creative, loving actor, entrepreneurial.
Sure.
Then I close it with husband.
Sure. Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
I also find it strange when, when people are like, who are you? Then he'll go, husband, mother, husband, brother.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're just naming
titles.
You're just naming titles.
Yeah,
Because
envelopes.
what's a brother?
Yeah, exactly.
Beyond what we already know, that you're a sibling to someone. We get that, dude.
Sure.
That's fine.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
But it's nice to define yourself from the inside out.
Yeah.
Like, who am I really, dude?
Sure.
You know, I'm a dude who really likes to act.
Yeah.
I'm a dude who likes to create. I'm a dude who gets bored easily.
Sure.
You know, I like taking risks. And then that's the kind of husband I am.
Sure.
Or, not to that definition, but
yeah.
And on top of that, I'm also a husband.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm able to share that my essence first, because a lot of these titles, they aim to define you.
Yeah.
And then, there's freedom in limitations. I always used to believe there's freedom in discipline, but I think limitations are limitations. And I don't think being a husband limits you. I think it's just it disciplines you in a certain way.
Good.
Yeah, especially as an artist. And I went to an art school, and people have this idea that, we're the weed smoking hippies that chill out the whole day and wait for the spark to. No, we should work hard.
Put in those raps, bro.
Yeah. You work hard, dude. You got deadlines. You got to submit. You got to be inspired within the framework of this deadline.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you got to learn how to inspire yourself. You got to learn how to do things to stimulate your own creativity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So knowing that, I know that being a husband is not a limitation.
Come on.
It's not a box.
Sure.
It's a newer sense of freedom.
Yeah.
That I've come to understand. Is that, wow, I can become more than what I was, was whatever I was. I told you there's another episode for that one.
I'm not letting you go. Yeah. Earlier on, you spoke about you and your wife always dreaming about winning the lotto.
Yeah.
So my lotto dream.
Yes, sir.
I win.
Yeah.
Because I played alone. And then my wife doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. Yeah. And then I start dropping clues.
Okay.
The first clue is the Merc that's parked outside.
Okay.
So I come.
But that's a dead giveaway, dude.
No, like anyone could have given me a Merc. Somebody gave me a Merc through the podcast. I'm saying if that's what you're dreaming, do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So park the Merc, knock in the house, like, hey, somebody gave me a gift or whatever, right? So that's the first clue, and then we're gonna spend the next hour talking about this car. It's gonna change our lives. This is amazing. But obviously, I know we have millions. She doesn't.
Right.
She's thinking, man, new car. Possibilities of driving the thing.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I'm like, oh, let's take a drive.
Yeah.
And so we drive, but we're actually driving to the bank.
Okay.
Yeah. Because obviously I fetched my millions. I went to the...
Oh, you fetched it already?
Yeah, I took my offices. I was there alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the money.
Sure.
And then we drive to the bank. And she knows how much we have in the bank. But when we get to the ATM, I ask her to withdraw.
Okay.
So I'm like, just go withdraw.
Yeah.
Like, just 500.
5 clipanyans.
Yeah, to test Guti, how big is the tank of this Merc?
Mm-mm.
And then she's there withdrawing, and then I'm just filming the whole thing.
Okay. So she's not like, okay, and the cameras now?
No, I mean, obviously, I'm pulling them up as she goes. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
So she gets
Vlog
to the
style.
ATM. Yeah, exactly. Thing comes out. She either passes out because she saw the zeros,
Okay.
or she just freaking out.
She's freaking out. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a scam.
Yeah.
It's a freaking scam.
And then for the next 30 minutes, I'm just like playing. What are we gonna do? Are we telling the bank? Are we gonna withdraw this money?
You're heartless.
Are we?
You heartless, bro.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my Lotso story.
No, but how does it end? How does she eventually find out?
I tell her, and then we go buy her a car that same day because we're reckless, we artists, no financial planner.
Yeah.
So I tell her eventually, we won the lotto. Let's go buy you a car, and then
Another one.
Yeah, hers.
So the
Merc is mine.
Oh,
the Merc is mine.
okay.
Right? She's gonna get some SUV. We get her the SUV, and then we blow money fast, and then
You blow
money fast, and
Yeah,
then
you
we
blow
get
it?
and then we get a financial advisor after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we,
That's nice.
if there's like 20 mil, I guess blow 2 mil.
Yeah, that's just
Quick, just get it out of the system.
Yeah. I think that's very important. My wife and I have the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where our story is also.
Yeah.
You just gotta get the feeling
Get
out.
it out. Yeah. So you're not a clown.
Yeah.
And then get a financial advisor, and then see what advice they tell you. Anyway, what's yours, bro?
Sure. I mean, we've had a million of these. The thing is, my wife knows me too well, so she'll be like, "What's going on?
Yeah.
You bought a Merc. Did you win the lotto?
Yeah.
Before we
She'll
even
go
leave,
this straight.
did you win? You got it right.
Ruined.
Yeah.
Ruined.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like you hit the lottery.
Yeah.
What? It's either that or what?
Yeah.
No, fans.
Yeah.
Which fan now?
Yeah,
Then
don't
now,
lie.
you see, now I'm digging a grave for myself. So my wife would know immediately. No, bro, I'll tell her, bro, soon I'll be
As soon as it comes in.
we got it.
Yeah.
Just tell her we got it. We hit the one, bro. Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just about property. We'll probably buy some properties around the world,
sure.
depending. Also, I think we're not very specific. We're leaving it to the universe how much. But
You
know,
decide how much you give.
yeah, we'll decide how much you give us. She's won it once, 10 rand.
Come on,
something.
nah.
Yeah, bro. I hit a young
Yeah.
7 rand 50.
Come on, bro.
Not
You
so
you
long
basically
ago.
got your money back.
Yeah, exactly. And I only play like $20 at a time.
Okay.
But yeah, dog, we'll maybe buy houses around the world, start businesses,
Yeah.
cars.
It's crazy.
But the older you get, you're like,
Yeah.
just want to pay off
I
my
need this
bond.
stuff. Come on, man.
Yeah, let me pay off my bond and save.
Yeah.
You gotten old.
Yeah.
I can
You
hear
just
this.
get boring.
Yeah, the stories
boring.
become boring. When we were younger, it used to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Listen, tell me. Listen, you know that.
Yeah. And you can't, though.
It's like, oh,
Kills a lot of people.
I can squash these loads. I'm nice. No, you don't even want to hit the lotto. Like, I'm not singing in a million.
Yeah, ngizobakren.
You understand? So now, dog, I mean, it's nice. We're dreamers, dude. Even now, as your story, I'm there, dude. I'm at the bank.
Yeah, you seeing it, though.
I'm seeing it.
That's the same thing.
At the bank. That's I'm like, and then?
Yeah.
And then? That's nice.
Do you guys watch I Blew It?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We do.
Oh, that thing pains me, man.
That thing hurts.
Yeah.
That thing hurts,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
And crazy because I don't want to put it in this. I've blew it before. Blew it.
You've had one of those.
Dog. If the timelines were different, I probably would have been on that show.
Sheesh.
And that's why I'm so happy that why I say I'm lucky is because I think I had made it at a point to a professional to work professionally as an actor.
Sure.
Make serious cash.
Sure.
10 years ago. Not even, like maybe 9 years ago. I was like, yeah, man, I'm working as an actor. I'm acting. Studied this thing. In fact, my first job was in first year at the lab. Did a commercial.
Sure.
Then I got like 40 grand. Bought a laptop. Gave mom some cash. I'm like, I'm working, dude. You know?
Sure.
But yeah, as you know, the reality of it goes.
Yeah.
That's why I think the reason I'm still able to do this now, it's just grace, dude.
Come on, man.
Because there's no formula.
Yeah.
Why didn't this happen back then?
Back then, yeah.
You know? Because when I got out of that, that's when I started with the Beetle and the you know, and the Yovils and the Hill Bros. You know, that was when that happened.
Yeah.
Because I blew it. I blew it hard, bro. Made more than my age group.
Sure.
At that time. Some of my colleagues my age were seeing more even, you know. You had a nigga like, nah, bought a flat. Like, I should have done that.
Yeah.
I should have. I had enough. We had almost the same amount of money.
Sure.
You know, I should have done that.
Sure.
But now I'm wiser
Yeah.
with the scars that remind you of where you've been.
Where you been, bro?
And you're always dealing with that, like, if I was this then. And I look at young people, you know, I work with colleagues who are like 24, 25.
Sure.
And I always sit alone and, you know, being number one on a show, or number one on the call sheet of a show, there comes with it, you know, I was watching a show called Number One on the call sheet. And I realized, like, yeah, man, we all go through the same thing. Because there's a leadership you kind of consciously or unconsciously assume.
Sure.
And leading by example. And sometimes I look at the young, my young colleagues, and maybe with some of them, I don't have the rapport of having these kind of conversations with them.
Yeah. Sure.
But deep in my heart, I'm like, don't screw it up. Do you know how lucky you are?
Man.
Do you know how lucky you are?
Man.
I mean, I'm prime time now at 33.
Yeah.
And I say prime time, it means like I'm on like a local network playing like at a 8:30 primetime show as the lead of that show. That took years. I feel like I've earned it. But you can't be 24 and tell me you earned it.
Sure.
That's luck.
Sure.
That's grace.
Sure.
Be aware of that grace.
Sure.
And pay back to that grace whatever is asking you of that time. You know? Especially people who want like child stars. You know, I went to NSA and we had a lot of child stars, you know, kids, homies that used to, after school, they go to Yo TV. When you get home, you're seeing them on TV, you're like, the homie.
This dude just failed his math test.
Or we're running around, you know, trying to get money for my treats, you know. And that I understand. And when I see homies now, I'm like, yeah, man, you've earned it, you know. But when I see someone young, between maybe the ages of 22, 25, who's on a show with me, and people older than me as well. Look, I'm also young to a lot of people. You know, I'm on a show with someone like Anda Broto, Anda Ngubane, and I'm like, yo, man, I'm still trying to feed off you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still trying to catch any nuggets whenever we have a corner where we're not shooting a scene or whatever. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep quiet. Put me on. Put me on. I don't want to live the life you live, but I want to know how long, what does it take? You know? And I just want the young ones to know that, hey, bro, this thing can. And the problem now, we didn't have social media back in the day, you know? We didn't, and it also wasn't glamorous. Even though it was there, it wasn't glamorous. So I'm like, hey, bro, don't get caught up in the hype. Like, you can blow it. I blew it. Trust me, I know it.
I know it.
If you want to witness, I'll call my wife. She'll tell you.
You
were up.
Sure.
to take the photos, the money phone. You know the money phone, boy. Posting there. Racks. Uzobampunga. Uzobampunga. And what it took for me, as I said, is the posture, the positioning of your heart, the posture of your heart and your faith and your commitment
Come on.
to one thing.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're not leaving without the Beatles story.
What you want to know about the Beatles, Doug?
I mean, there's a lot around the Beatles, but so when you were blowing it, your wife was there with you.
Yeah.
Right. And now you guys are parents. You a dad. And at some point, hopefully, Ahmad does not watch this.
Yeah.
To find out about the Beatles story.
Yeah.
But I ask because, I've been going through some stuff. And I'm like, dang, I wish my dad was around to have put me on game because I'm dealing with it's an employment situation. And I'm like, man, I'm a loyal dude, but it would have been dope to have a dad to teach me how to be loyal with my eyes open. So be loyal, but people's are people.
Yeah.
So be loyal with your eyes open. So now I'm writing this book for my kid. Okay, lesson 1, be loyal. But be loyal with your eyes open. Lesson 2, work hard.
Yeah.
And make sure that you have an exit plan. Right?
Sure.
Et cetera, right?
Sure.
And so you could be intentionally writing the way I am, or it's just going to be lessons that come out. Amma's, 21, she's finished with school and she's trying to figure her life out. And you're going to have the don't blow it conversation with her, So that's where I'm going with this. But I'm keen to also hear, earlier on, you spoke about your wife coming from a divorced family. You come from a 2-parent household. How do you end up in a Beatle? Selling stuff you're not supposed to sell. And, typically, your wife is supposed to have that story. I come from a divorced family as well. It's expected of us.
Yeah.
Where would kids nahlanya vele? No 2-parent guidance.
Yeah.
You're just figuring your stuff out. But you had Ndota there.
Yeah.
He probably told you not to blow it. He probably was like, dog, just be straight, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, how do you end up blowing it? How do you end up in Yeovil? How does your girlfriend then walk with you in trying to say I mean, if I was you, I'm probably not marrying you after that, seeing all of that stuff. She stuck around.
Yeah.
So help me reconcile all of these things and landed on how do you tell Amahuba Mash? Such a dope name, man.
Thank you.
How do you tell her not to blow it?
Well, thing is, one thing you got to understand is that I'm the last born of 3.
Sure.
And I recently saw something online that people think last borns are rebellious because the parents, not rebellious, but are different and more prone to arts because the parents have, by virtue of parenting 2 other kids and overcome the anxiety, they've given now the last born a different sense of freedom, right?
Sure.
You know that video is like, my firstborn, I'm like, I wash the teeth.
Yeah.
Then with my next child, I'm like, pick
it
it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Don't sanitize the thing.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh man, I know, or whatever, right? And you know the anxieties.
Yeah.
You got one daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently this feeling that we have now, it ends when you have your second one because you're like, it's not that bad.
Yeah. We've lived through this.
We've lived through this type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's not,
Sure.
right? That's not what this thing I read online. We don't credit the divergent thinking of the last born to that. We actually credit it to the last born trying to find its own identity amongst others.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Being the first encounter being its parents and the siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have an academic sister, an academic brother. I got parents who work 9 to 5s. And just by human, trying to be a part of a society, I'm trying to choose the lane that's not occupied.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So I became what I am. So that just explains to you who I was.
Yeah.
So I was rebellious in a way. Not rebellious, but like I just wanted to find myself without
Find a new lane, yeah.
looking like I'm trying to be someone else. Ended up becoming an artist, ended up with certain gifts, certain traits. And yeah, that somehow always pushed me out of home, pulled me out of like the home base.
Sure.
So I lived with a group of friends for a long time. And that thing translates into society, right? Where it's like, because you're always going against the grain, or you, by virtue of being born last and trying to find a lane that's not occupied, you're always kind of going against the grain, which could then also mean you either breaking the law or doing things that normal people aren't doing, unconsciously still using that trait. So yeah, man, I lived in a commune soon after school. 2 to 3 years after high school, moved into a commune with a bunch of friends. And I was making money through, being an announcer at the macros. I had met my wife by then. I had a scooter, bought the scooter, didn't have a license for it either. Because it's like you want the thing before you, the straight lineness, you don't do
taking
that
time,
thing. It's too
dog.
much time. I've got the cash. You have the thing.
Guys,
you
good at you.
You want the money.
Yeah.
I bought the Beetle for like 12 grand, dude.
Sure.
It was a piece of crap, I won't lie. But when it's washed,
come on now.
it's a dream. Yeah. And now the attention, because at the robots, yo. And then obviously, dude, then I blew it.
Yeah.
I had cash. I blew it. Because I'm avoiding this trait is very powerful.
Yeah.
And lastborns need to be very careful about it. Because it's so psychological in the beginning.
Sure.
And so innate and innocent, right? That of course you want to be, if I come into this, if I want to work with you guys, I'm not going to do the job that someone's already doing.
Come on.
Yeah. You've got an intern, you've got a sound and video guy, you've got a host. So I'm going to naturally say, okay, I'll do the cleaning or whatever, right? That's the same idea.
Sure.
Is that in this family, in this ecosystem, I can't be him. He's already there. I can't be her. He's already there. Sure. But now that translates into everything else. I can't be the good guy. Or I can be the bad guy. Yeah. No one here smokes weed? I'll do it.
I'm taking one for the team.
I'll take one for the team. Yeah. No one here breaks the law a little bit? No, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Cool. Everybody is afraid of the law? Oh, I'm not afraid
Let
of the
me show
law.
you.
Yeah, I'll show you. So it was just by virtue of that, dude.
It's crazy.
So I think with my daughter, I hope I never get to tell her.
Sure.
I think with kids, they do what you do. They don't do what you say.
What you say, man. Yeah.
And I'm hoping to leave a legacy through one gift I have about being a public figure is that, hey, my opinions are recorded. They're on the record.
Sure.
So I'm hoping to leave such a decent enough legacy that when she's on her own, she can deduce for herself that this nigga's a good guy.
Yeah.
Or this nigga is this type of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
you can always say one thing and then, even my pops, there's like less things my pops has told me that have sunk over the things that I've seen him do. Like there's much more that I'm like, in retrospect, I go, yo, you did that. You're doing this. Like I said, like he's always available. Then I go, why? Why are you always helping?
Yeah.
But if you sit down with that trait, you're like, yo, this nigga's always helping.
Yeah.
That's how I choose to define him.
Come on, man.
Not by what he says he is.
Sure.
So We'll see, man. I think with my daughters, like it's the same age-old parent thing. She can have way more than what I had in everything, and way less trauma than I had, and do way less to get to. That's also a different one. That's tricky. One thing I do want to keep about my life and my experiences is the hard work. Yeah, the fight. You know, I don't know if you ever heard this one that say, strong men make weak.
Yeah.
Strong men make successful kids. Successful kids make
Weak. Yeah.
weak children,
Yeah.
and weak children screw up the whole legacy.
Yeah.
You know, until they're weak again and the cycle goes over.
Yeah.
So I don't want my daughter to be like super spoiled.
Sure.
I think that there is a level of grit, that difficulty, becomes a value towards. But yeah, just making sure that things are done safely and peacefully.
Yeah.
I mean, now with this whole with scenario, it's like,
man,
it's numbing, dude.
Man.
It's shocking. You're like,
dog,
at a school,
yeah.
Like you're talking about the place where,
sure,
like, you know what I mean,
bro.
So that takes faith and I mean, you can never hide your kids from the world,
man.
But it's like you're always meditating on how you can make the world a better space for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's about your actions more than what you tell them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, man.
Creating a society by the 1%, or 0.0001% that you are in this whole ecosystem.
Come on, man.
And praying that your contribution will be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope, man. And yeah, that's great, bro. That's encouraging to hear. And I think it's
justice for Kwekwe, by the way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, bro. Yeah. And it's crazy that we need social media for that to even, push the needle. Where I'm like, our country, our world is that broken that for a year, because that thing happened last year.
Yeah.
For, at least a couple of months, because it was end of last year, October, around there, that nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's how broken the world we live in is, that, it needs these things for us to move the needle.
Yeah, let them work, dude.
Yeah.
Let these things work. They mustn't come here and be fancy and expensive for no reason.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if the iPhone is not going to do these type of things, then screw the iPhone, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
If it's going to make you vain and you can't, if you're going to use that front camera to tell us kak and not use it to actually give us something, throw it away, dude.
Chilling on my face beat.
Yeah. Throw it away, dude. Throw it away. Like, these things have to function for us.
Come on, man.
And we have to make sure they do. It just breaks my heart that our society is so unequal, which I believe is still the workings of apartheid and this empowerment of the black.
Sure.
Whether we call it classism or racism now.
It's an ism.
Yeah, it's an ism, dude.
Sure.
And it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think us now, we're really the stewards of this new generation, bro. You have the power, my nigga.
Yeah.
You got these you got the cameras, you got the space, you've got the resources.
Sure.
And if you can if you and many other people have the same level of power in society, so just use it for the right things.
Come on, man.
And we'll get somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll get somewhere. Yeah.
Still, bro. In closing, man, thanks for pulling through. This was dope.
Thank you.
I ordered a burger and got a buffet, man. So,
Yeah. I also like to Did I? No, not today.
If you're wondering who's looking at, his wife is in the room, so he has to double check.
No, I do have this thing of over.
Yeah.
Over overindulging. I'm learning to, but this is
PR handbrake.
yeah, let's say
Ah, yeah, Ntwane.
no. It's just
Yeah.
over talking.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, okay.
It's not even about anything else. It's just like, okay, you
No,
get
it's
it.
good though. It's a podcast, man.
It's a
I
podcast,
always
yeah.
say it, dog. Like it's a podcast, man. That's we're not running on a clock here.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I could do this all day, bro.
What?
So,
No, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
No, appreciate it.
This is
man.
great. It's been a long time coming. It's been about a year,
Yeah.
almost a year,
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to set this up.
Yeah,
and
man.
Yeah, no, today's a special day, bro.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you.
No, I appreciate it, brother. In closing, how has your wife's faith impacted your life? Not your faith together, but just her faith as an individual. How has it impacted the husband that you are now?
It defined me, bro. It
Sure.
gave me faith.
Sure.
My wife was faithful for the both of us. You know,
Sure.
for a long time. She prayed for me. When I was in the wilderness, you know, she prayed for me. She kept God in the space
Sure.
when I couldn't recognize him yet, or when I was out doing, discovering whatever I needed to discover.
Sure.
So that when I finally do return, he's still around. And that's the one thing my wife has never been shaky about.
Sure.
Like a lot of things she would allow like herself to experience. You know, obviously in the beginning we come from different spaces.
Yeah.
So whether it was travel, whether it was food, hey, we come a long way with food.
And clearly food loves you guys. Look at how you look.
Then we come
Food
a long
loves
way.
you. There's other people who love food, and food is like, I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah.
But you guys eat, and food is like, I'm also going to look after you. Right?
Yeah, it's like now we come a long way with food, types of food, and for a long time we're like, and I don't comprehend because I'm like, I've lived with this thing my whole life. How can you not eat it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so delicious to me. How can you not?
Are you a sharer?
I'm a sharer, dude. I'm a
She's
big
not.
sharer. No, she shares as well.
Okay.
But there's obviously I sometimes I feel away when I'm like, but I want you to taste this thing I like so much. It's something like dates. I love dates.
Sure.
She's just like, what is this thing now? I'm like, just
Try.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Spit it out if you have to. You won't eat it forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now obviously the difference becomes smaller.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, there were things she would allow herself to explore.
Sure.
You know, out of love.
Yeah.
And I think leaving or turning from or doing anything that's got to do with God, she never changed.
Sure.
I've been fluid. You know, I was raised Catholic, but then, you know, just like Jesus, there was a point where I was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And that's why I sit back, I'm like, just like you, don't forget. There's a young chapter we never see where you went, bro. You came back later. So I feel assured that I'm okay.
Sure.
But there was a chapter, bro, where I was nowhere to be found, exploring life, living with, you know, people from different ends of life, you know, and also just like she did, and that's why I said we're quite similar. I would lend my life to that experience to see it that way. But that's one thing my wife never.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
She's like, fine, you believe in this, I'm still gonna pray.
Yeah.
I'm like, but read this Krishnamurti book. You see what he says about
yeah.
God, eh?
Yeah.
He's actually called the universe. Or she's like,
Yeah.
do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing.
Sure.
And then when God finally spoke to me,
Yeah.
you know, and he revealed himself to me, I was like, yo,
I see.
you've been, and that's, dude, that's invaluable to me. That you held on to the most important thing. What we'll learn eventually will be the most, I don't know if she knows it or not, but you know,
Sure.
that thing that was that is now the pillar
Sure.
of both our lives and identities. She held that for us for a long time.
Man.
And it's something I'll forever be grateful for.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
It's dope. No, I appreciate that, man. And shout outs to her. Shout outs to you.
Shout out to you.
Shout outs to you, man. This season of our lives, I've seen just my wife's faithfulness and how that's encouraged me and inspired me,
Yeah.
My wife was clinically diagnosed with depression 4 years ago. Man, that's, it's a dark time, like proper dark. And, try a bunch of things, try pills, try sleeping differently, try changing eating habits, blah, blah, blah. And those things help, man, for seasons, but the thing that she's kind of, that's broken that and brought immense light was her just praying and fighting herself not to. Because everything in her is like, man, just sleep, and she's like, okay, we'll show you. So 3 a.m. she's up, praying, bro. 4 a.m. praying. And it would be one thing that she like gets up from our bed, prays in our bedroom, it'd be like, okay, cool, that's dope. But like, man, rain, hail, winter, summer, this chick is outside.
Yeah.
Just wrestling with the Lord, man.
Okay.
Wrestling with God.
That's beautiful,
bro,
dude.
And it's through that where, like this, she has sad days. She like I think the depression is gone. She has rough days, but even those days are conquered through prayer, So me sitting this side watching all of this, man, I'm like, yo, I need to pray as well. Come on. I can't be a clown here. I need to, especially as the head of the household, I need to,
Yeah.
So it's just been inspiring, man, seeing that. And I'm like, shout outs to your wife for just holding it down, bro. And
man.
And kind of giving you an anchor for you to come back to.
Absolutely. That's why I call her my home, dude.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, dude, I think the biggest lesson as we wrap it up, I think the biggest lesson is to be kind to yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be kind to yourself. My trainer at the gym.
Sure.
Or Vadner. I don't know if he's watching. He was like, it's not meant to look pretty, dude.
Sure. Sure.
Like, and he freaking hates this whole idea of like this chicks at the gym and and there's like this whole thing of like
taking content.
Not even taking content. It takes content, but he works hard.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like making the gym a nice place. It's not nice. Here we're here to work, dog.
That's fine.
Yeah. And then once you realize that, you're like, yeah, dude, I'm not. Got to be kinder to myself. That this pain is supposed to feel this way, and I'm supposed to carry it for this. But I know there's a bigger.
Sure.
There's a small incremental growth that's happening every single day.
Sure.
And the proverbial trust the process.
The sad thing is, I wonder if process knows that we're trusting her.
Yeah, process like, wait, me?
Process is like,
process is like me.
Process Mashamu is freaking out where she is, dog.
It's like, no.
When did I become God? Trust him.
Yeah, trust him, not me. That's why I don't like that thing so much.
Yeah, sure. Now I feel you.
Trust God, dog. Trust existence.
Sure.
Be kind to yourself, bro. Be kind to yourself. I say that to you when you mentioned the thing of now you have to pray.
Yeah.
Because you're such and such.
Sure.
I think be kind to yourself, dude.
Come on, bro,
be kind to yourself. Be supportive of your wife's individual journey.
Yeah.
And remember, there's God to both of us.
Sure.
Sure. And you don't want to get in the way of Papa Manje and think you're the hero.
Yeah, sure. Chuck Norris.
There's some things. Yeah, Chuck Norris. Papa. So there's some things, bro, she has to endure so she can see Christ in her own way.
Come on, man.
Fully.
Yeah.
And you just have to be there.
Sure.
Hold the fort.
Sure.
you know, and figure out your own individual experience of him. And I remember the beginning of the year, you know, we turned the new year. And Mama out the gate, she's like, I'm ready to pray every day.
Yes.
You understand? We need to
Na calendar yokuthandaza.
This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this now.
Sure.
And I get the sentiment like, yo, you want us to do it together, you
Sure.
know. But deep down in my heart, I wasn't there.
Mm.
You know, not that I wasn't there from a faith point of view, but like the energy of doing it this
Sure.
way. It's like I'm not. My head.
You haven't wrapped yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Around
Me, what's
it,
going through my head is like, whew, new year, new job. That's this one. You know.
Yeah.
How are we gonna sort out the baby's gonna, you know? Yeah, the baby needs to go to school now.
Sure.
Okay, and we just bought a new house.
Sure.
I mean, I sound unfaithful in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like not worried, but like I think that thing is now taking me out of the.
Yeah. It's being trapped by that illusion of control that you spoke of.
Yes, you feel like you're in control and you feel like
I
you
need
can
to
play the cards
control
or
this stuff.
do something a certain way. It's like,
Sure.
and then I learned, I'm like, yo, God can actually show up in different shades in the same house, you know, because we're two individual people. And I think she realized after a while, not after a long while, but after some time that, no, man, maybe this is what he's asking of me.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
We had the same thing years ago when we lived in Hillbrow, when I first got hit and saved. You know,
Sure.
it's like, let's pray.
Yeah.
Let's pray.
Yeah.
You know, let's read the Bible together. And seeing her reaction, because she wasn't in that place yet, because she's like, me, I've been here, dog. What you talking about?
Sure.
You buzzing.
Yeah.
You know, of this thing. Like,
You just drank the Kool-Aid, though.
I understand the excitement, my nigga, you know. But you've just arrived. We've been here, you know. So then it took me a while to go, oh, this is how it feels. This is the excitement to, you know, maybe this is meant for me. Doesn't make her less faithful, you know, until maybe we both matured to the same, to meet at the same place. And that's maybe we go to the church and we enjoy church together. Or, you know, there was a phase we went church hunting together, you know.
Started dating churches before you.
Yeah, you know, you start courting this church, you shadow this church, you're like, hey, Nina, what's this one? You see, no. There was this one church, we felt like a full-on concert, dude. And after a while, I'm like, wait, man, are we going there for the, you know, we're going there for God, or we're going there for the lights, stimulation? Man. Yeah. It's hella stimulating, bro.
Sure.
And then COVID, we just did church on YouTube.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So that's like fine a journey. But then I respect sometimes when God is calling more from her, because her position in our ecosystem needs something different.
Sure.
It's great for us to pray for each other and also to find time, you know, before I leave in the morning. When life is not hectic, crazy, we pray together. That used to be a habit we do every single day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it'd be wrong for us to credit the things we have now to that.
Come on, bro.
You know, that's just silly.
Sure.
Because if you think God rewards, God doesn't reward anyone, dude.
Sure.
You know? He is the reward itself.
Sure.
He's a blank check.
Yeah.
There's no such thing of saying,
I prayed 4 times.
If I do enough of this,
yeah, sure.
He's going to give me.
Sure.
So, and when it started happening less, we weren't like, ooh, things are gonna mess up now. Or when we're not doing it at all and things mess up, we go, you see, it's because we don't leave in the morning.
Yeah.
No, but if you feel like you miss something or you miss a certain relationship with God a certain way, then I totally get it.
Come on, man.
You know, and then we try our best, but we're not going to deny the blessing of now being busy.
Sure.
Because also time God wants you to have an active prayer.
Yeah.
It's like, I see you guys pray at home. You passed.
Yeah.
Can you pray?
Can you get into the field now?
Yeah. Can you pray in the field?
Yeah.
Can you pray while working?
Sure,
Let's see that
sure,
one.
sure,
You know?
sure.
And that's why I never want to protect my faith.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why I'm not too big of a fan of church. I love and
Sure.
respect church.
Sure.
But I don't want to have my faith based on the circumstance
Sure.
and the fragility of a circumstance. Because now, what if I'm in the desert? You know, and I do 10 Sundays
Sure.
without going to church.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, where do we cultivate this, and how do we celebrate his presence?
Sure.
You know, and where do we find it from? But other than that, I think he's everywhere. Hey, he's in the busyness.
Yeah.
He's in the chaos.
here now.
Father. He's there where you think you least expect it. He's there.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank God.
And then
My gosh. Yeah, now I've seen God
that's dope, man.
man in the most
Yeah.
unsuspecting places
Come on.
and
man.
states
Sure.
of life. And he
Sure.
showed up and says, nah, bro, you think I'd leave you playing,
Come on, bro.
you know?
Man, that's dope. I'm gonna ask to do something I've never done here, dog.
Yeah.
Can I pray for you, bro?
Please, bro, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's
So,
do it.
man. Lord, we thank you so much just for this time that you've given us. Man, you just rock up in experiences and show up in ways that, you know, we would not conventionally expect you to. Thank you so much for the causes. Thank you for their lives. We thank you for how you've raised them for this time, for this country that we're in. And just you know, in an age, in a season where there's just not a lot of people, spaces that are truly authentic, and people who live from conviction. And so we thank you for them. Thank you for how they show up and how they walk with you in ways that for us who are onlookers, you know, can glean in and just see the level at which they trust you and find you in their love. And so we thank you for that. Pray that you would continue having your hand over them, that you would continue to shine your light over them, and that as their story develops and their story continues to grow, that not only Amma would benefit from that, but all of us who are onlookers. And thank you for just the work that you blessed them with, and how they can brilliantly tell stories that we could be glued to, and how we find glimpses that lead to your ultimate story, your matter story, your grand story, Lord. And so we thank you for that. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for how it's panned out. Just how our hearts have been filled, and people who are watching this, that you would take all the gems that have been dropped here to shape their lives, shape their marriages, husbands who are despondent, discouraged, people who are disenchanted by the institute of marriage, that you would use this episode to really speak into their lives. So thank you for today. Just this delusional sense of control that we find ourselves gripping onto. Thank you that you've asked us in this episode, and that we would continue doing so for the rest of our lives, that we would let go of that, trust you, and see how you lead us. You are beautiful, you're mighty, you're great, you're glorious, far beyond what we can comprehend. And we thank you. In your wonderful and precious name, Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen.
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 Wow, man.
Brother.
That was
Appreciate this,
transcendental, bro.
Man, bro. Thanks you, bro.
Thank you, King.
Thank you, man.
Bless you.
Yeah. We
Bless you,
we always close these episodes by thanking the wives, but Lisach is here, so thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's keep holding the fort, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
And keep inspiring us. You know, keep telling stories, man.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. God is a grand storyteller, and he works through storytellers in ways that he doesn't with other people.
Amen.
So it's such a special gift, bro.
No, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Keep being a vessel.
Thanks, man.
Keep being a vessel of this
good.
goodness, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. We hope that you are truly blessed, inspired, encouraged wherever you are. Hope that this conversation really sparks a deeper conversation with your spouse, with your friends, your community. Don't forget to leave your comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode we drop. Every Wednesday at 11:30 we're here. From me and the squad, we'll see you next week Wednesday. All right. Peace.